Roll call, please.
Sorry.
Miranda,
Here.
Carlson, Hurtak,
Here.
Clendenin,
Here.
Henderson,
Present.
Vieira,
Here.
Maniscalco.
Here.
We have a physical quorum.
Open, move items to open 1 through 7.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to open all the hearings, items 1 through 7 from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Henderson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, item number 1, these are non-quasi judicial, so who would like to begin?
Any housekeeping we need
Oh,
to do?
no housekeeping, sir.
No housekeeping, I missed that.
All right, item number 1.
Good evening, City Council. Do we have the PowerPoint ready? Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Boone with the city's Housing and Community Development Department. Kayan Henderson should be online in case we need her in a minute. I'm going to go through this presentation quickly as I understand your morning session ran a little long.
Just a little.
Today, we are here to present our consolidated annual performance and evaluation
The
report,
broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
which is our annual report to HUD for our federal dollars that we expend for our housing and community development programs. We report on the progress that we've made in our 1 year as well as our 5-year plan to date. We discuss any goals and strategies that we are online with, as well as those that we may be falling behind, and we evaluate our progress on the funding that we have been allocated. This is the timeline of our caper. As you can see, we are reviewing a draft of the public hearing, which I do have a draft available for everyone tonight. I apologize, we did not get that to you earlier. It is still a draft in progress, so we want to make sure it's as complete as possible. It will be available tomorrow on our website as well for the public hearing. The public comments, which will be open until December the 15th for any public comments to be made. So these are the resources and investments that we have expended in the last year. Again, this is only for our federal dollars, CDBG, home, ESG, and HOPWA. We expended a total of $12 million and some change on those programs that you see above. That includes all of our housing, community development, public service, housing counseling, all of our housing-related and homeless-related programs. And these are some of our statistics for, and this includes ESG and home and CDBG dollars that we've spent. A total of shelter beds, 306 shelter beds, homeless prevention, 27 clients, rapid rehousing, emergency shelter, and TBRA, tenant-based rental housing assistance, a total of 101,080 households that we were able to assist with these dollars. This next slide is for our housing opportunities for persons with AIDS dollars, and this does represent our 4-county area. It's not just the city of Tampa numbers, so Hillsborough, Hernando, Pasco, and Pinellas is reflected in these totals. Our housing assistance, which includes some of our programs as our down payment assistance, owner-occupied rehab, public service, and our public facilities projects, 943 households. So today we are here to open a public hearing, listen to any comments from the public, as well as open our 15-day public comment period. We welcome any comments or questions from you as well. Any questions can be directed to Kayan Henderson. Again, it will be available on our website for the public to see. A copy is also available at our office at Hannah, as well as the clerk's office. I have a copy for the clerk as well.
And no action needs to be taken by council today. This is just for public comment.
It's a public hearing, public comment. No action is needed, except we will submit this to HUD once the public comment period has ended.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council members? Yes, sir.
Just a quick question, and thank you for bringing all these details and doing it quickly. On the homeless issue, could you go back to that slide? Is that possible?
Possibly.
So I know there's a regular survey of homeless throughout the city, and code enforcement, TPD, and chief of staff have been really good about working on the camps in South Tampa. So there was a huge one right by McDill. There's a new one I just heard about, or new to me, on Davis Islands. And what happens is that they leave and then they, and then they move somewhere else. And so there's been a lot of concern about, is there any, so I would call this output, which is really important output, but do we know the outcome, like in the surveys of homeless, are the numbers on the street reducing now? Do we have any
So
idea of the impact on the streets?
Thank you. The point in time count is held in January, February, every year. As far as the survey for those that, it generally has decreased slightly from last year. Tampa Housing, THHI generally works with us on addressing any of those issues. We do have a homeless outreach team that does work with the TPD and code enforcement to address those encampment issues. The code enforcement helps with cleanup of any encampments that are left behind when people move on.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 1? I see no one. Do you need us to close this public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, motion to close the public hearing from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm gonna
All right.
leave this.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a TACPA 23-19. Yes, ma'am?
Good evening, Council. Thank you. Jennifer Malone with the Planning Commission staff. I'm here to present on TACPA 23-19. This is located on the eastern side of Morris Bridge Road. I'm going to zoom out. So the request before you tonight is a privately initiated amendment. It is small scale since it's only about 28.36 acres. The current future land use is rural estate 10 and environmentally sensitive areas. The applicant tonight is requesting suburban mixed use 3 and environmentally sensitive areas. This is located in the furthest northeastern corner of the city in the New Tampa Planning District. It's just east of the Easton Park neighborhood. It's probably about a half mile south of the Hillsborough County, Pasco County jurisdictional boundary. And here's the aerial of the subject site. The blue dotted line is the Hillsborough County jurisdictional boundary. So this property was annexed into the city in 2007, but it was annexed, it's the only properties on the eastern side of Morris Bridge Road that were annexed as a group. Not all of them are before you for the plan amendment change, though. This is the picture of the subject site located to the right along Morris Bridge Road. As you can see, Morris Bridge Road is a 2-lane road. And then here's just an example of some of the development to the south of the subject site that's occurring when we drove out along Morris Bridge Road. But I should point out, this is on the western side of Morris Bridge Road, not the east side where the subject site is. The east side is characterized by very rural development pattern. So this is the adopted future land use map. The future land use is rural estate 10. That is 1 dwelling unit for every 10 acres. It is the lowest future land use category in the city of Tampa. It was created specifically for these properties that were annexed into the city in 2008. So I'll get to that in a couple slides. There's also environmentally sensitive areas on the subject site as well. Across the street is suburban mixed use 3. And then this is in the county. This is agricultural. This is also 1 dwelling unit per 10 acres. And then we have natural preservation to the south. The proposed future land use map is proposing the suburban mixed use 3. It would retain the environmentally sensitive areas since there's some wetlands on the site, but suburban mixed use 3, which is the same thing across here. I just want to point out again, there is no suburban mixed use 3 anywhere on the eastern side of Morris Bridge Road, which has a very different development pattern than the west side of Morris Bridge Road. So right now, the applicant could have 1 dwelling unit. Since there's only about 14.36 acres of the rural estate 10, once we take out all the environmentally sensitive areas that's not able to be developed, and a potential for about 40,000 square feet of non-residential uses. So not a lot of development potential. If this is approved tonight, that would increase the development potential to about 43 units or 156,000 square feet of residential or non-residential development, because in the suburban mixed use 3 category, the applicant can exceed those dwelling units per acre and utilize the FAR. So there's the potential for probably more than the 43 dwelling units. The city of Tampa, we send this out all plan amendments for comment. The city of Tampa objected to this, stating that there's a lack of utilities and city services within the area and lack of similar uses along the east side of Morrisbridge Road. Evan Johnson is here and he'll speak more on the city's comments when I'm done. The Transportation Planning Organization also provided comments regarding future proposed transportation improvements. They stated that there are no roadway capacity improvements, transportation projects, or transit services planned for the area. We will, again, I'll just go over the history real quickly. This was annexed into the city in 2007. When it was annexed into the city, it had to have a future land use given to it. So the city and the planning commission got together and brainstormed what should the future land use be, because we have to place something on it. And it was so unique, they created an entirely new future land use designation. The thought process was due to the environmental constraints, due to the rural development pattern and the lack of available public facilities, it should be very rural. The proposal was a rural estate 5, that was 1 dwelling unit per 5 acres. That went to the State Department of Community Affairs at the time in 2008. The state said, that's not even rural enough. That's gonna promote sprawl. You have to bring it down even more. And we also, the state's comments were that they wanted it to match the 10 dwelling units an acre that were in the county that's adjacent to the subject site. So that's how the rural estate 10 was adopted on the site. The comprehensive plan has a lot of policies promoting the compact city form. This is placing our population with access to transit, housing, services, employment. That's inconsistent with this policy direction, the request before you, since there is no transit or transportation improvements and it is several miles away from any sort of employment generators. There's also a lack of available public facilities, which I know Evan Johnson will speak on, but we do have policies about promoting available public facilities and putting people where there already are available public facilities. There's also several environmental constraints on the subject site as well. And then I just want to point out the LU policy 9.6.2, Planning Commission found it was inconsistent with, based on the compact city form strategy, increased availability of housing at densities that promote this near employment concentrations. And with that, I will leave you with the recommendation of the Planning Commission voting inconsistency, furthering staff's recommendation as well of inconsistent. I'm available for any questions, or I can turn over to Evan Johnson.
I had a couple of questions. Is this, because I don't know if I've ever seen rural estate 10, RE10, ever come before us. Is this the only or one of the very, very few in the city of Tampa?
Yes, so it has never come before you because this is the only place in the entire city that there is rural estate 10, is the parcels that were annexed in 2008. So you've never seen any zonings up there. No development has occurred since the rural estate 10 was placed on these properties back in 2008. And this is the first plan amendment since that time asking to get out of that future land use category.
So this was originally designated to be like country living, essentially. I mean, this is, I think it's really cool because it's, one dwelling unit for such a large, it's acres and acres there. So it's never been developed before, essentially, because you said on this side of Morrisbridge, it's all environmental, it's all, wooded areas.
It's right, and then also to the south of the site, I was remiss to point out, we're getting into the Hillsborough County lower wildlife preserve.
Where is that, on the other side of a street?
No, it's on the east side of Morrisbridge Road as well. Yeah, to the south.
This is, it's very interesting because, again, this is, it's an undeveloped natural parcel, essentially, so. Yeah, Councilman Vieira.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And question for you, how far away is this from Corey Lake Isles or Easton Park?
So Easton Park is across the street.
Yeah.
So it's adjacent. The site, the part of Easton Park that's across the street, let me just show the aerial again, is currently undeveloped. But, sorry, give me just a moment. I've never flipped papers so slowly in my life.
Take control.
So this is, in the City of Tampa neighborhood map, when I click on this parcel across the street, it's the Easton Park neighborhood.
Okay.
It's more so developed to the south, but, you know, that doesn't mean, this has a suburban mixed-use 3 land use that the applicant has requested on their site.
Okay. And thank you for that. So yeah, just to clarify for council, this area that I'm sure many of us, some of us have been to, you have Easton Park there, and I'll talk about this later. You have Corey Lake Isles, a lot of homes there. You have the mosque that is there. You have the Sikh house of worship that is there. Gosh, what's that evangelical church? Pastor Dean. You have a Baptist church. There's a lot there. This is not Tombstone. So there is a lot there. So just for the record, because it's not rural. I mean, maybe that little area is, but that's the weird thing about Morris Bridge Road is there's a lot on Morris Bridge Road. There's a lot of homes on Morris Bridge Road, and I'll talk about that later. But
Yes,
thank
that's
you.
why I tried to mention east side of Morris Bridge Road, east side of Morris Bridge Road. Yeah, I'll turn over to Evan Johnson unless there's any other questions for myself at this time, but I'm also happy to also answer any more.
No, thank you very
Okay,
much.
I think
Yes, sir.
Evan has some points he'd like to make. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Evan Johnson, City Planning, really just concurring with what the Planning Commission presented today. Speaking specifically to the main points we identified in our analysis or our review, one is just the character and the capacity of Morris Bridge Road and the fact that it is not programmed to get any larger. There's no transit planned in that area. Two is the environmental nature, particularly on the east side of Morris Bridge. This is very close, immediately, nearly adjacent, I would say very close to the rural service area boundary for Hillsborough County. The Hillsborough River State Park is nearby. That whole eastern side, a lot of that is, once you get off that immediate budding of Morris Bridge Road, you get into a lot of environmental land as well as some agricultural land as well. And then as far as availability of utilities, they are not required to connect to, even though they are in the City of Tampa service area, they are not required to connect to our utilities. However, depending on what they want to build, they may be required because once you get above a house or 2 houses or something along that, well and septic may not meet what you need to do for fire protection and everything else. That the nearest utilities that we know of right now, we talked to wastewater and water. Water is being extended up Morris Bridge to help serve K-Bar, the new K-Bar Ranch entrance. So you'd have to connect to that. It's about 1,700 to 2,000 feet down Morris Bridge Road from this parcel. And then about a quarter mile, Easton Park, there is a manhole connecting to wastewater at Easton Park, which is about, the entrance of Easton Park is about a quarter mile. So those are both significant distances. We could be talking in the number of, several $100,000 to $1 million to build facilities, if not more. So it's all really, when we're talking about the significance of the increase of allowable density on this site, that's where we really object to the change in the character because of the jump is so large from this particular proposal. And if you have any questions, I'm here.
Questions? Nope. Thank you very much. Do we have an applicant with this item? Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is David Wright. Address is P.O. Box 273417, Tampa 33688. I'm representing the property owner on this CPA. Yes, we are requesting a change in land use from residential 10 and environmentally sensitive to SMU 3 and environmentally sensitive. When this was originally submitted, we were requesting SMU 6. We revised it down to a lower density. Really what this amounts to, and we did submit a formal wetland delineation into the record and also a habitat assessment completed by our Dura. We've studied the property. We know where the wetlands lines are. We're good with the environmentally sensitive designation. Consequently, there is significant wildlife habitat on this property also, and it's all contained within the wetlands, and there's uplands and wetlands all contained within the same boundary. And so we know that the about 14 and a half acres fronting Morris Bridge Road is ready for development. It's suitable for development. And so we're really requesting a extension of the SMU 3 future land use plan across Morris Bridge Road to this property. I appreciate Councilman Vieira's characterization of the area. It is about a half a mile south of Pasco County, and there's significant development on that side of the county line. There's also the K-Bar development directly across the street. That's over 1,000 units that's already approved for a development. So we're really just looking for an expansion of that, what's already approved there. Based on the uplands that are on the site, this could be approximately 45 homes. As she said, it could be also a small amount of commercial area. We're looking to do a combination of that, so it'd be commercial.
No, I'm sorry, but we're here specifically to talk about the comprehensive
Okay.
plan. We don't listen to what possibly could
I'm just
come.
talking about
Thank
what
you.
potential development could be under the comprehensive plan designation, both commercial and residential, but limited in capacity based on the future land use that we're requesting. I also have Francis here. He's the property owner representative. He would like to say a few words.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Come on up. And please state your name.
My name is Francis Ihedoro, and I'm the owner's rep.
All right. Anything you'd like to add?
I think David covered much of the things that we've been asking the city to consider for this site. The two areas that we need to develop are highland, and we would want to respect the environment, the area surrounding this area. And according to the owner, since it's not developed, there are incursions into those areas, disturbing the environment, disturbing the habitat. So we believe that if there is a human presence there, that we will kind of like curb the excessive interlopers into those areas. Because that area, there is a fence, but people jump the fence and they go hunting. So we're trying to abate that or stop that from happening. And we think this is an opportunity for us also. We are not allowed to talk about the commercial part aspect of it. But if I live in Keba, I have to travel 9 to 10 miles to a doctor's office. I have to travel further west to amenities. So we are proposing that this project will kind of mimic, not mimic, but support the neighborhood. So that's why we're saying that there is a component there, is not only housing.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from council members? Yes, sir, go ahead.
The only thing I'd like to add is we acknowledge that there's not a public facility serving the site presently today, but those would be the responsibility of the developer to extend to the property, and we're aware of that, and we accept that responsibility. So, thank you.
Councilmember Vieira.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you gentlemen for your presentation and whatnot. I have a lot of challenges with this one. Number one, we have just across the board negative reports from the Planning Commission, the City of Tampa, et cetera. That's always, just objectively speaking, a very high hurdle. Morris Bridge Road, in my district, Morris Bridge Road itself is county, so Commissioner Hagan deals a lot with that. That's one of the things I hear about the most that I go, I wish there were things we could do about Morris Bridge Road. I wish we could expand Morris Bridge Road. We can't, obviously, because of the environmental designation. Morris Bridge Road, to me, is just packed at the seams right now. And that's one of the top things that I hear from my constituents. Another big issue that I have right now is with Tampa Fire Rescue is, we have stations, 22 and 21 off Cross Creek, going on to Morris Bridge Road. One of the biggest challenges, y'all mentioned K-Bar Ranch, that we have right now is response times in K-Bar Ranch. We're gonna be talking about that in a little bit at City Council. If we have a request for more density and more impact off Morris Bridge Road, and there's not even a staff report to give it any support at all, I cannot see myself supporting that, especially given the increased challenges that we have in Tampa Fire Rescue. I'll tell you, if this goes to second reading, I feel that we're going to hear a lot from people in Corey Lake Isles, people in Easton Park, and potentially, I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth, but some of the institutions we have out there, a mosque that's out there that's very, very busy, obviously, that a lot of people have to walk from Easton Park to the mosque, have a lot of challenges there. Lots of cars going through Morris Bridge Road, a Sikh house of worship there, and different things I talked about. So, but the biggest thing for me, there's the environmental challenges, you have the bad staff reports, you have the challenges with public safety and Tampa Fire. So for me, there's a reason why, with all due respect to you very nice gentlemen, the staff turned this down. I just don't see this. I see this as a size 36 waist trying to put on size 32 pants. I just don't see it. So just coming from me to y'all, and again, I appreciate your statements and whatnot. Thank you.
Please turn off all televisions. Yes, sir, Councilman Clendon.
Yeah, I'm kind of reiterate what Councilman Vera said, and you look at the development there on the south side of Morris. I mean, it is clearly either rural agriculture or it's environmental. I mean, a large swath. And as we try to develop Tampa, the city of Tampa, in a smart and deliberate way along transportation corridors and also fiscally responsible, I don't think it would be conducive of us to expand density in that area on the south side of Morris Bridge. Leave well enough alone. We have plenty of areas in the city of Tampa to develop that have already existing sewage, and I just had an interesting conversation today about. It just amazes me that we're going into 2024 and how many septic tanks and well systems we still have in the city of Tampa. So it's something that we need to discourage, and I think we need to have smart development. This just doesn't fit that mold. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? If not, I'll ask for public comment. Is there public comment on item number 2? Is there anybody registered for item number 2? No. Do we have anybody registered at all tonight?
We do. We have one person, item number 6.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anything further? If not, I'll ask for a motion to close.
Motion closed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like rebuttal? Would you like to add anything to the record?
No, we're good, thank you.
Okay, motion to close? Motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? Aye. Who would like to read item number 2? Would anybody like to read it?
I'll make a motion if I may.
Go. Go ahead, Councilmember Vieira.
And Mr. Shelby, if I may, for these, given the fact they're not quasi-judicial, is just a motion to deny appropriate?
Yes, a motion to deny, and you can.
I mean, if I wish to.
And you can cite to your reason,
Okay.
specifically, you could cite to the planning commission
Reports.
finding, the staff finding, and whatever other findings you wish
Yes,
to
sir.
make.
Thank you very much. And again, I really appreciate these two gentlemen coming out here and their words and sincerity, et cetera. I don't think the word fit the picture. And again, I haven't really spoken to a lot of people in New Tampa about this because number one, we can because this isn't quasi-judicial, but I didn't. That's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not. That's what I'm saying. I can't. Like, in other words, I am able to do so, but I didn't because when I read the staff reports, I go, I just don't think that's necessary. But I do believe, if you build it, they will come. If we pass this, they will come for second reading. That's my opinion. So if I may, I do a motion to deny based upon the aforementioned City of Tampa staff report and Planning Commission findings that have been mentioned previously.
We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira, second from Councilmember Miranda. We have discussion. Councilmember Hurtak.
I would add the file number and the address and the folio number, and a couple other things.
I know. Thank you, Councilwoman Hurtak. I appreciate you. I will amend that to include file number TA/CPA 2319-19, and this is for 16901 Morris Bridge Road, folio number 059221-9014. Thank you.
We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira. The second was Councilmember Miranda, correct? Right. Roll call vote.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson. Yes. Hurtak,
Yes.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion to deny, carry unanimously.
Thank you very much. The next items 3 through 7 are quasi-judicial. If you are to speak on any of these items, please stand, raise your right hand, and we'll swear you in. Yes, ma'am?
You can go ahead and do the swearing in.
All right. If you are to speak on 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, please stand, raise your right hand, and we'll swear you in. All right, in the back, or are you going to?
Yeah.
Everybody should stand. Stand. Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Susan Johnson, Velez Legal Department. I have received a message about the first item, the first public hearing, item number 1 on the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report to HUD. Mr. Chair, I know staff had asked you to close the public hearing, but that public hearing needs to be reopened,
Okay, 'cause
and
it-
it needs to
December
remain
15th.
open, correct, for
Okay.
the entire public comment period, and after that time, it will automatically close,
All
so.
right, may I have a motion to reopen item number 1? We have a motion from Councilmember Dennis, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Aye? Okay, yeah, because I saw December 15th is when the comment period ends, so.
Correct. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman and Council. LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. This is item number 3. Item number 3 is AB 22319. This is for the property located at 1500 West Swan Avenue. The applicant is represented by Grace Yang. The request is for alcoholic beverage sales for a restaurant category with consumption on premise only with beer, wine, and liquor. This request would contain 6,469 square feet of indoor area. There's no outdoor sales area proposed. The required parking spaces are 54 spaces, and 54 spaces are provided. The parking is provided within the overall development because it is a part of the overall PD approved, and the parking plan has been provided within the site plan that's been provided into the record. The staff report lists the sales hours consistent with Chapter 14, but these sales hours are as stated on the site plan. That is a 1 a.m. closing, and that is daily. So currently on the site for this location, there is an alcoholic beverage sales permit, which is active. It is for a special restaurant. It allows them to sell for consumption on premise only with beer, wine, and liquor. And the special restaurant is an administrative review and approval process that has the hours which are listed within the staff report. Sunday through Wednesday, it closed at 11 p.m. And then Thursday through Saturday, they would close at 1 a.m. So this request before you would allow the 1 a.m. closing on Sunday through Wednesday also, in addition. And I have the site plan here. I will put up on the Elmo for you. So this is the site. As you're aware, it's a part of the Old Hyde Park Village. So this is showing the entire block. But this is the location that is outlined here. So this is the proposed use of the restaurant. Just for orientation, this is West Swan Avenue, and this is Oregon. So this is the corner parcel. We have an aerial of the site. This will show you, this is the site which is identified in red. This is Swan, that's located here. And you can see surrounding the site, you have the rest of Old Hyde Park Village that's located to the west and the south. What has come before you recently, within the last month, you saw a request for alcohol sales with the property, the suite just to the south of this location. And so we have a few pictures of the site. So this is at a distance, just showing you the site which is located here. And then, of course, the parking is located above for the development. Here's another picture of the site. This is another view. This is a close-up showing the site itself. And this is on Swan, which is north of the site. This is east of the site, and this is just a view that's looking east on Swan. The site is off to the right in this picture. The DRC staff reviewed the request, find the request inconsistent. It is due to the waiver requested on the plan, and there are minor site plan revisions required to be made between first and second reading. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions or comments?
Thank you. Thank you, Council.
All right, yes, ma'am, go ahead. Please say your name.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, council members. My name is Grace Yang. I am with the Gray Robinson Law Firm at 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, 40th floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602. I have with me hard copies of the package that I had submitted to you by email, and I'm happy to pass those out if you would like a hard copy. To repeat, this is a request to try to ask for some extended hours and a little bit of flexibility. There is currently an alcohol use approved for the restaurant. There's a shared kitchen and shared restrooms for the Row Japanese restaurant and for the Jekyll bar area and lounge area in the same space. We are asking for some flexibility with hours to close on Sundays through Wednesdays, because sometimes, for example, New Year's Eve being one night, they might want the flexibility to stay open past 11 p.m. if New Year's Eve should happen to fall on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday night. We are not saying that they will consistently want to be open until 1 a.m., 7 days a week. Business models and business traffic is going to drive that decision. But the ownership team is asking for some flexibility to allow them to stay open until 1 a.m. Sundays through Wednesdays. You'll see on the site plan, again, there is an overall restaurant space, which includes the Row restaurant space and the Jekyll area, which is by reservation only and can only accommodate a maximum of 60 guests by reservation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. With me also is owner representative Chasbrook.
A question that I have is, I think we're all very familiar with Hyde Park Village and how it has a variety of restaurants. Are there any other restaurants like, what do you have, On Swan, Meat Market, Forbici, Bougie, I think is the newest one? Do they have these hours that you're requesting from, what is it, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday? Do they serve until 1 a.m.? Or is this unique to Hyde Park Village? Would Row be the first establishment to have these hours 7 days a week?
I apologize, I'm not sure about the closing hours for the other locations in Hyde Park Village. I will say that the Row restaurant part, the Japanese restaurant part for Row, is planning to close by 11 p.m. So Row will close down, that part of the restaurant will close down by 11 p.m. We are asking for the additional flexibility until 1 a.m. for the Jekyll portion of it. So think of a large restaurant where part of the dining room might close down as the night goes. They're asking for Row. Row's going to close by 11 p.m. But the Jekyll portion of the restaurant space, they would like some flexibility to stay open until 1 from Sundays through Wednesday nights, if the reservation traffic bears that out.
Now, does Row fall in the footprint of the request that's being made? So if you wanted to serve at Row until 1 a.m. or continue business hours till then, by approving this, will we be opening it up to Row? Sesame doesn't count because it says a bagel shop.
Correct.
But does Row fall into the footprint of the request today, or does it only cover the Jekyll part that's accessible through, it says here, I guess you have to go through Sesame. So.
Right, and that's a very good question. So the footprint that you see on your site plan includes the Row space and it includes the Jekyll space right now. Okay. So in the site plan, it includes the Row space and the Jekyll space, both of which are already approved to have hours of operation until 1 a.m. Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments, council? Yes, sir.
Outdoor space, how does it does this liquor permit apply to outdoor space?
No, sir, it does not.
Okay. And so currently you're allowed to sell liquor till 1 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday?
1 a.m.
I'm sorry, 1 a.m.?
1, yes.
Okay. And just to recap it for this would just expand that to the rest of the week? What do you?
Right now, the existing alcohol use allows until 1 a.m. for the special restaurant space until 1 a.m. on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturday nights, and until 11 p.m. on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights. We are asking in this request for some flexibility to allow them to have the option to stay open until 1 a.m. Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesday nights.
So that's the only expansion, is the
Yes, sir.
extended to 7 days a week as opposed to the
Yes.
3. And, okay. That's what I thought it was, but I just want to make sure I was clear on what the
Yes.
decision is to make here. Thank you. Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? If not, I'll, does that conclude your presentation, ma'am?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll be glad to come back for rebuttal if
Okay.
needed. Thank you.
All right, we'll go to public comment at this time. If anybody is here that wishes to speak on item number 3, please come on up, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name's Mary Lou Bailey. I live down the street at 912 South Oregon Avenue, but I'm here tonight on behalf of the Hyde Park Preservation Inc. Board. We had a meeting with the owners of this establishment on Monday. It's a lovely little area and they have great ideas. We then conferred with the board and we voted unanimously to oppose this request. We're very concerned about the precedent it will set. I sent you all a letter yesterday and then I updated it with a letter today because we were able to convene the board for an official vote last night, and as I said, it was unanimously in opposition.
You said you met with them on Monday, or you're going to?
No, we met with the business owners on Monday and did a walkthrough and heard their ideas and expressed our concerns. And the concerns are less about what's happening in that little area of Jekyll, which is, you have to go through another business to get it, it's somewhat isolated, et cetera. It's the precedent setting. You guys have already asked the questions that we asked, which is the site plan includes the Japanese restaurant. So there isn't a way legally or technically, as we understand it, to contain this only to Jekyll, because it's all under the site plan known under Row. Sesame Row and Jekyll all have the same site plan, and so there's no way to contain it. And our concerns amplify when you know from the years, hopefully these guys are going to be successful and long-term people because they've proven themselves other places, but we don't know that, and we're not willing to bank on that. So as businesses turn over or concepts change, then that alcohol sale and extended hours till 1 a.m. could extend. Someone else asked about the operating hours. There is no business in Hyde Park Village that operates that late. We checked the official site of every restaurant and bar. This would set a brand-new precedent. So that's our biggest concern, because once one place in Hyde Park Village gets this ability to stay open until 1 a.m., others will want to do that. Hyde Park Village is wonderful. We have a long-term collaborative relationship with WS Development and the on-site management and many of the establishments within there. It's nestled in our historic neighborhood. We're all very compatible and coexistent. We don't want it to change. And this sets a precedent that could be used to dramatically change the character. We don't want establishments open until 1 a.m., really any time, but particularly during the week. It's just not consistent with the character of this place. So we ask you to please deny this request. I've been around long enough and very active in the neighborhood in Hyde Park to see what happened on South Howard. And it didn't happen all at once, but there used to be antique stores, family restaurants, things like that. And it's now moved into essentially an entertainment zone. We've got that right over there. It's closed, it's fine. We're dealing with it. We don't need another one in Hyde Park Village. And I'm not saying that what they're trying to do is that it established a precedent that could get us into trouble.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Miss Doc, I have a question real quick, if you have the answer. It was mentioned, New Year's Eve, if it falls on one of the days that they are not able to serve past 11 o'clock. New Year's Eve is on a Sunday this year. How would an establishment, or is an establishment able to get permission to serve, because it's New Year's Eve, for example, to serve after midnight, beyond the allowable? Is there a process there, a temporary permit, a catering license? How would they do that?
Yes, thank you. LaShawn Doc, Development Coordination. Yes, what can be done is on the site plan, a condition can be placed. And it would allow alcohol sales or the establishment to remain open until, let's say, 1 a.m. and it's on these days, and you can specify the
Like
holidays.
4th of July, New Year's, something
We've
like
had that in the past where people have asked for, yes, New Year's Day, so whatever day it falls on in whatever particular year, it covers that
Okay.
date, and you would list out each holiday. The other thing that has been mentioned is the areas and the hours. A note can also be placed, if that is the desire of council, to have one portion of that area identified in the AB sales on the site plan to close at one time, and the other portion to close at another time. And it can be clearly labeled, and that can be done between first and second reading. But it's just to
Okay,
let you
no, I
know
was
it's
curious.
council's
I didn't-
desire.
Now I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, yes, sir?
Good evening. My name is Patrick Chimino. I'm the president of Historic Hyde Park Neighborhood Association, Mary Lou's neighbor. We also are opposed to this change in the hours of operation during the week, and with similar rationale as Hyde Park Preservation, Inc. This establishment is adjacent to residential areas. They didn't show Oregon. If you just look a little south, there's houses there and condos. The other establishments in the areas has been noted have been successful without extended hours during the week. And we want to be consistent with that with the village. In fact, as they mentioned, to the best of our knowledge, no one's even open till 1 a.m. on the weekends when they can be. And the development review and compliance staff found the application inconsistent with the applicable city code. We like the village. The enhancements are great. I think there's several worrisome aspects about the petition. One is they're speaking of a specific use today, or a specific activity today. That can change and still have the late hours. So while they're saying it's going to be private, by reservation only and all that, that's not binding. That is not binding. So we feel strongly we would like to keep the village in its family-oriented mode, and we don't want to have an entertainment district. The city is painfully aware of what happens in some of the, Ybor is another example. Different code, but nonetheless, as I used to tell my son, bad things happen after midnight when he was young and he was going out. So that's what happens when you start expanding hours. So we definitely are opposed and really would appreciate your denying this request. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, yes, ma'am, please state your name.
My name is Pam Canella. I live at 604 South Orleans. Our Tampa Comprehensive Plan and city codes are written to provide for the safety and the preservation of our quality of life for the people, the neighborhood, and its residents. It's time that the people are placed ahead of profits. City Council needs to enforce these codes without waivers, as they are written, by denying this application request. I live in Hyde Park, very close to the village, and this restaurant. I am affected by the events that take place there. This neighborhood was intended to be residential by the original planners and developers, with Howard being the commercial use. And yet we find retail and commercial centered in the middle of our neighborhood. The residents have made adjustments with compromise and balance so that we both can coexist. The residents of Hyde Park do not want our neighborhood to be part of the bar scene. There are many problems now with the increase of visitors to Hyde Park Village that the residents struggle daily with. And because the businesses in the village are allowed shared parking, there are not enough new parking spaces for the employees and the visitors of these new restaurants that are coming up. The neighborhood becomes the overflow parking for those who are left with no place to park. This is a problem that the city has tried to solve, but yet to find a solution. There are just too many businesses and not enough new parking spaces. I wanted to make a reservation at Jekyll because it's quiet. It's a secret. I was told by an employee who wanted to park in front of my house because she told me they were open till 1 o'clock and that there was no place in the garages or on the streets to park. So she parked in front of my house, asked my permission. And that's how I found out about this very secret place. I did tell her I was an advocate for Hyde Park afterwards. But anyway, I tried to make a reservation for Jekyll, and I have copies of the phone. And as of right now, the last reservation is at 12:30. So I believe they're operating till 1 o'clock now, but it's a secret. Can I give you this?
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Yes, my name is Harold Walker. I'm a 38-year resident of Hyde Park. I was in the neighborhood in 1985. My wife and I moved in 1987. Amlia came in with the first iteration of Hyde Park Village. 1987 was also the year that Hyde Park was deemed an historic neighborhood with parameters, and the neighbors got very concerned about the commercial intent for the first owners of Hyde Park Village to spread out beyond the current footprint that's in place. During the economic hard times, price of gas, retail shopping went to the suburbs, to malls. Obviously, that's changed. They moved back to pedestrian-friendly retail centers, and Hyde Park Village is on fire. And they're trying to fill it up as best they can, and they're doing a great job. The mix of retail, restaurant, bar is a very, very sensitive mix, and it's one that can get out of hand very, very fast. I've heard the terms flexibility, special exceptions. We know that these people are hired to represent the owners. You guys have dealt with very persuasive and very persistent land use attorneys on a regular basis. They don't go away. This hospitality group, Three Oaks, also happens to own Ciro's, a speakeasy at Bayshore Royal. Their closing hours are at 3 o'clock, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 3 o'clock. So they're very, very aware of the economic model that's in place to run a speakeasy and make it profitable. It's one today. As someone pointed out, there's homes on the northern part of Oregon that as you walk out of the exit from Rowe and Jekyll, maybe 150 to 160 feet away. I believe you go into a speakeasy to drink. So when you come out at 1 or 1:30, if they maybe have a little bit of a last call, those residents don't deserve that type of treatment. So on Swan across the street, 10 o'clock closing. You asked the question, what are the restaurants, their closing hours? There's nobody past midnight. Most are 11, including Meat Market. 1 o'clock is not necessary. These establishments have not been open 3 months, and they knew what the hours were when they opened, and now they're asking for extended hours. This time next year will be another extension. When they leave, and they will, whoever comes in has rights to stay open to 1 o'clock. We strongly, strongly oppose this application.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Yes, my name is Jennifer Stylen, and I'm a resident 2 blocks away from this establishment. Lived there 30 years. I'm completely against it. I think it should close at 11 all week long. Nothing, like you said, good happens after 11. People's personality changes once they have alcohol. Your chances of getting drunk after 11 increase. Our streets are very narrow. You have drunk drivers. They're going to crash into our cars, things like that. People park in front of my home, and I don't want people coming at 1 o'clock in the morning, slamming their doors, laughing, joking, and we have to get our sleep. And there's a lot of professionals living in the neighborhood, doctors, dentists, you name it, and you don't want us to be tired working on you. We serve the community, and we want to keep it family-oriented, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Chaz Bruck, 124 Baltic Circle. I'm the owner and operator of 3 Oaks Hospitality. I'd like to address some of their comments. We have met with some of the neighbors, and I totally get it. I understand what their concerns are. We operate a lot of different restaurants in Tampa Bay, and I think one of the main concerns, Oregon dead ends right there at the end of the parking garage, and there's a fence. So cars aren't going up and down Oregon and going through the neighborhoods. And also, Jekyll it's a elevated cocktail experience, unlike anything else in Tampa Bay or probably this country. Everything's served tableside. It's seated only. It's not a normal bar. We don't even serve beer. You're coming in there, it's a 45-minute per drink experience. On average, the reservations are about an hour and a half to 2 hours. 2 hours max is our seating. So people aren't coming in there and slamming 6 drinks and leaving there. The average drink is $30 plus. We have one drink on there that's $1,300. So my point is, they're not coming in there, getting drunk, and then walking through the neighborhood. It's not the same experience as, it's not a bar. It's an elevated cocktail molecular experience, unlike anywhere else in this. It's kind of like Aviary in Chicago or Peterson House in Nashville. Again, all the concepts we do is to help build the co-tenancy in Tampa and make Tampa better. And I think we've been a great steward of this for 13 years. Yes, we do own Ciro's. We've operated in that condo building there for 13 years without many issues. I developed Armature Works in the Heights. Everything I do is to promote Tampa and make things better. My dad lives on Oregon, right down the street from here. I'm not trying to make any issues in the neighborhood. What we did there is try to promote something better, bring something unique to Tampa, and continue to elevate the coexistency and co-tenancy of Tampa. And I think we're good stewards of the community. We're going to continue to be. We're going to be in front of you guys many, many more times on many other items. So I appreciate it, and I understand the neighbors' concerns, but I don't think what we're asking for is out of ordinary, and I don't think it's the normal bar that they're thinking of.
Thank you very much.
And I appreciate it. Any
Is
questions?
Is this part of the rebuttal, since you're the
No,
owner?
I'm just,
Or just public comment? Okay,
and,
we'll leave
and
it
I'm
up.
also willing to restrict it to the Jekyll space only if you guys can
Yeah.
find, if Eric and them can find a way to restrict it, because Jekyll is interior. It's not forward facing. So there's nothing outside. It's no amplified music. You got to come into Sesame.
If this was part of your rebuttal, I would ask you a
No,
question.
it's
for
not. I'm
clarification.
just,
I didn't know that.
We'll wait till rebuttal.
Okay.
All right, ma'am, did you want to speak for public comment?
Public comment still open?
Go ahead, please state your name.
Hi, my name is Blythe Creelan. Do I need to give my address or, okay.
No, go
So I'm a member of the board for HPPI, the neighborhood that's directly adjacent to this establishment. Just saying that our board has opposed this because we care about the late times in this community. Our board offered to work with the row owner to work up a win-win for both of us. We don't want to create a precedent for other establishments in the Hyde Park area to have this late night open policy. But the owners declined our offer, so we're just asking for you to please deny this.
What was the offer?
You mean our board's offer?
Yeah.
Well, we just offered to work with them, but I don't think we had an opportunity to, if I'm correct, we didn't have an opportunity to speak to them about it. So to create just to discuss the issue further in the sense of we don't want the establishment staying up that late, and we wanted to try to work out some sort of thing that would work for both of us, but we were asking that you deny this offer.
Can she turn over 30 seconds of her time so I can answer your question about what our offer was?
I would like to know what was the offer? I'd like to hear it.
The offer was made very specific. It's Mary Lou Bailey again, sorry.
Thank you.
The offer was made very specifically of how could we legally and technically accomplish a carve-out of Jekyll so that it wouldn't set a precedent, and there would have to be parameters around that. And we would want to discuss that with them. I've heard the staff talk about we could put notes on the site plan, or we could do it between first and second reading. Foul. It should have been done in advance so that the public has the opportunity to fully vet it and understand it. And we offered to work with them. We suggested they delay tonight for 1 month, and that we would work with them in the city to accomplishment. And they said, no go. They said, we've been waiting 7 months. We're perplexed. We got a notice for the first time 30 days ago. And it's not like I'm an unknown quantity to the operators of Hyde Park Village.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Councilman Vieira.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just say this. I remember our former colleague Orlando Good used to always say this. Have you all talked and all this stuff? And just in light of that, just putting it out there that if there's room to speak, it may behoove the parties, just saying, that's all, just putting that out there. If it was offered and rejected, again, I can't compel anybody, but I just say that. Thank you.
Oh, I'm just congested. Yeah. Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, I would like to ask legal, part of the evidence presented by one of the neighbors was that and she showed telephone evidence that the establishment is already operating beyond the hours allowed. What are we supposed to do with that? Is that admissible evidence, or what do we do with that evidence?
I mean, it's evidence, it's factual testimony from a layperson, and so council can assign whatever weight you feel is appropriate to that evidence.
What is, am I allowed to ask, what would the city do if it found an establishment not adhering to the hours allowed under the current authority?
Thank you, Council LaShawn, Doc Development Coordination. What we would do is we can actually send out a letter to the establishment, and we would notify them that we have been notified of a possible violation. It will be a violation of their special use permit for alcoholic beverage sales. And at that time, that owner or the business operator is given the opportunity to correct that situation. So they would either have to show that they are closing with the time that they should close, and then that would clear.
If someone if this evidence had been presented by the community yesterday instead of today, so before we got to the council meeting, would that have affected their application or not?
It would not have, I mean, because the one thing that we do offer is a chance for the operator to correct what may be incorrect with the site. So their solution may be to apply. We would tell them if they continue to open beyond those hours, we would say you would need to apply for a new permit. To resolve that, ask for additional hours. That would be one of the, but they would still have to abide by the code and not stay open hours that they should.
Also, the neighbors testified that by their analysis, that no other establishments in Hyde Park Village have these same hours. Mr. Walker mentioned going all the way back to 1985. I remember other places that were there in the past, but were there no late night alcohol licenses that carried forward, or do you know for sure if everybody has to end at 11 or?
I mean, the license exists that allows the hours, the later hours. It's just the establishments aren't. You know,
but could you confirm that no other establishment?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can check by second read. If this is approved, I can let you know by second read. I can't say tonight. Okay. I didn't look up each item, so I can't say for certain.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Councilman Glenn.
Good, you're still there. Precedents. This does not, I know the neighbors expressed concern about setting precedent. We take these one at a time, correct? There's no precedent.
Correct.
So just because we approve one, it doesn't have any bearing on whether we approve another. That's a fact, right? Okay. So, Mr. Shelby?
No, just that. Are you asking legally or?
Legally.
Effective? Legally, it is no precedent.
So nobody could come in and say, well, you approved his, now approve mine. And use that as a basis for appeal or effective use of appeal.
I mean, Susan Johnson, Velez Legal Department, I don't know if that's a legal question, but I mean, somebody could come in and say that.
But would they be effective and overturn a council decision of denial based on we approve somebody else's?
Council looks at each alcoholic beverage permit application individually and based on the information in the application and what you hear at the public hearing, the testimony and evidence at the public hearing.
Okay, and so we've said we could, via site plan note, we could restrict alcohol beverage sales just to the square footage in this Jekyll Club. And so that would ensure that alcohol sales would never exist outside of those hours.
Council has the authority to place what you consider appropriate conditions, should you choose to.
Or in the restaurant. So really, it almost sounds like had the owners been willing to work with Hyde Park to create that terms before, no? You're shaking your head no.
I answered. We asked for an
Yeah, I know, well, that seemed to be what you were asking for, that if it was just restricted to the club and it wasn't precedent setting, I'm trying to struggle where the objection would be based on the information from the neighborhood.
Yes,
Mr. Shelby?
if I can, counsel, and Ms. Dock can certainly say, the requirement of placing something on the site plan creates certain things that need to be enforced, and the question is enforceability, and we talk about placards. Placards do take place here, but for those people who need to enforce it, this is unique in the sense that even within a confined interior, you're designating certain areas to alcoholic beverage? Is that correct? I guess my question I'm asking Ms. Dock is just as to enforceability with regard to the placement of a note like this on the site plan.
LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. We do have locations that have certain areas that are delineated, and they have a certain designation within that area. Typically, there's a wall that separates them. When you have it open, it does make it harder to enforce. And then maybe the applicant would be willing to do something to kind of delineate
Is this area
that a
fully
little more.
contained? Is it walled and is it a fully contained space?
Yes.
But one thing I'd like to mention to council, and just to remember, there's current alcohol sales on the location. So currently, there's a special restaurant designation, and that special restaurant designation covers the entire area that is shown on the site plan. So if we are to take a section, which we could do, we put a note to condition the hours to keep in mind they still have the special restaurant, which would exist on the other portion, unless council.
We just
And
approved,
that is
we
the-
just
yes.
approved alcoholic beverages across the street at the new hotel. Did we restrict hours on that?
We did not.
So it's so they can serve alcohol until whenever? Right?
Correct.
That's what I thought, right across the street.
At the Pally House.
But I just want to, Susan Johnson, it's a different use than a restaurant, right?
What is, just because
It's
it's
a
a hotel?
hotel, yeah, right.
But it's still serving alcoholic beverages, a different establishment.
They don't have a bar.
No, they have a bar.
Well,
So their
We can't have
designation.
chatter from the audience. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, so it is a hotel use that was approved across the street, and what is before you is for a restaurant use.
But
So
it's
in
still
the
one
future,
establishment selling liquor and another establishment, just different types of establishments
The
selling liquor.
types, absolutely, correct.
All right. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Maybe not. All right, rebuttal.
May I rebut?
Go ahead. Please
Thank you,
state your
Mr.
name
Chair.
again.
Grace Yang, Ray Robinson for the agent for the applicant. In the time that the public was giving comments, we looked up, it appears that Bar Taco in the Hyde Park Village does stay open until midnight on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So wanted to enter that into the record. Councilman Carlson, the 12:30 a.m., I wasn't sure if that was on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night reservation.
Wednesday.
It was on a Wednesday. Okay. Then, my bad. Okay. Again, we could try to limit through legal description to try to restrict the 1 a.m. flexibility on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays to the area that's contained within Jekyll, which is the area of the restaurant space that is reservation only, maximum of 60 guests, reservation maximum time block being 2 hours. We are willing to do that. It is all interior. There is going to be no exterior activity associated and connected to the Jekyll area of the restaurant space. We are very aware of being in the neighborhood, being in Hyde Park Village. You heard from Mr. Brook that his father lives down the street in Oregon. He has a lot of other businesses in Tampa, successful businesses. He wants to be a good neighbor and also be a good businessman. But he's looking for a little bit of flexibility just to be able to operate the business. In your packet, you see the food menu that's available. If you go to Jekyll, The row menu is also available during the hours that row remains open. You see the photos that are in your packet showing you, giving you a better sense of what the area looks like inside. And there are letters of support that we also entered into the record for you. We're trying to strike a balance, and we're willing to try to do what we can to restrict the approval area to the smaller area that is the footprint for Jekyll.
Anybody? Yes, sir.
For Ms. Yang, you know, the neighborhood folks that talked about potentially talking, do you think that would prove beneficial to you and your client at all, to give time to speak to them, not this evening, but I mean, come back to us in a week or two?
So, I know that Mr. Brook and some of his business partners had hosted some of, I think they had hosted some of the people from Hyde Park and the nearby area on Monday. I think you heard him say that he hosted a group on Monday. I have also had some discussions with some of the neighbors who received the public notice. So we are trying to be sensitive. We're not asking for full code for 3 a.m. We're merely asking for a little bit of flexibility on certain nights of the week if it becomes something that the local neighbors and the patrons might like.
And if I may, Councilman Clendenin, I think said it, if this goes forward, I don't know how I'm going to vote, I don't know how other people are going to vote, but if it goes forward between first and second reading, did you say that, sir? Maybe I did. Yeah, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wait.
let me say one about that. I probably, it's interesting because I came into this thing feeling one way and changed my mind, but based on what I'm hearing. But I do want to, I'm going to end up voting in favor of, but I am going to insist that between first and second reading that the owner group meet again with the neighborhood association and come up with a resolution. I 100% expect that a site plan modification to show that this is restricted just to the Jekyll space. And with the understanding that this is not, we take these issues one at a time, that's not precedent setting. But we'll have time between first and second reading to do that. And if of course, it comes back at second reading, and they're not productive meetings and there's no resolution, I would probably change my vote against. But I'm willing to give it between now and then.
Yes, Mr. Shelby.
I'm going to try to frame this in a way that makes sense. Normally, council, that's not done. Because the basis for your decision today is based on the competent substantial evidence that's gathered during the hearing. If you change your vote based on something that took place outside the hearing, I think you would jeopardize your decision, the basis of the council's decision. So my recommendation is.
Point well taken.
So my recommendation is that if that's the pleasure of the petitioner's agent to be able to do that, they can request a continuance. Otherwise, you have to make your decision today based on the competent substantial evidence in the record.
And I would strongly request a continuance.
Council member.
Yeah, and they have said no, so, motion to
We will.
close? Well, yeah, I mean,
I had other council members that wanted to say something before we close. Yes,
We are
ma'am.
willing to entertain a continuance
Councilman
if you would like.
Vieira wanted to say something too.
Ms. Yang, were you going to say something?
Yes.
I don't want
I was going to say that Mr. Brook and some of his partners had met with some neighborhood representatives on Monday. We are willing to consider a continuance to continue trying to reach something that might be more palatable to the council member.
And if I may, I was going to, with Mr. Shelby on, people have changed their votes between first and second reading, but I understand that, correct me if I'm wrong, it's got to be because there's something at second reading that came up that changed your vote, right?
That has evidence that's
Yes.
new testimony or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am? And then-
Thank you, Chair. I know that Hyde Park knows how to fight for what they want, and I have a great appreciation for that. Because it's the time is being requested to extend to 1 a.m., is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's still old people, you know what I'm saying? I mean, old people who can try to stay up to 1 o'clock.
I go to bed at 8
I know,
p.m.
I find it to be a reasonable request for a business, and I hate having a denial, but I also understand why Hyde Park fights for it. You know, if they were saying 3 a.m., that's real obvious. But 1 a.m. is just, I don't think it's the crowd that you might think it might be. Or you're just trying to just prevent it, the entertainment area from happening altogether. I'm kind of torn about it because of the one aspect is presidents. You know, will other people come and try to do that? I'm not sure, but and it seems like it's reasonable enough for the community as well as the organization to work it out. But I am in favor of it. I don't see it being unreasonable.
Councilwoman Hurtak, Miranda, and Carlson.
You know, I didn't know how I was going to vote on this until I saw the screenshot of the phone that said that they can already get reservations. 7 reservations are available after closing time on a Wednesday. And that to me is completely unacceptable. If you're already having that and it's available for the public to get, that means you aren't acting within good faith. And I just, so that to me, that testimony that was clearly photographic evidence, I'm just appalled by, and I would not support this motion, and I would encourage my council members to not support
Is it real?
that.
Should we just look at the paper and accept it?
Well, here, if
I know
I don't have a cell phone on me because I don't have one on council dais. But if somebody wants to open it right now and try it, I was appalled by that, and again, we're also not supposed to create testimony. I'm sorry, Mr. Shelby.
Well, let me just, if I can.
But the testimony is what it was.
That may, for what it is, council, I accept Councilwoman Hurtak, you taking the testimony and giving the weight you see fit. But also just a reminder that whatever decision you make today runs with the land.
Yeah.
And what you're looking at is, and there have been cases in the past that how the business is presently being run today, or whether they have an alcohol license today, is really not relevant to your decision under the criteria that you have to decide whether to grant alcoholic beverage. I can understand the weight that you give it and the effect that it has, but in the sense that what I would say is that you look at the criteria as a whole and don't take the present and let that create, I wouldn't want to use the word prejudice, but certainly just be cautious that you make a decision based on the criteria and the evidence applied to that criteria.
No. Councilmember Miranda, Councilmember Carlson, Councilmember Clendenin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, it was a great presentation by the Grace Yang and gentleman who owns the businesses. And I can see he's been very successful, and I applaud him for that. A restaurant's one of the most dangerous things to have in life. Mostly within 5 years, when you open one, they close. A great majority of them. I can say this, back in the 70s, I was here. I know I don't look 105, but I look older. But there was a lady that ran the Homeowners Association named Mildred Ditmas. You can go back and check the records of 74 through 79, sometime in that period. At that time, there was nothing, not one thing other than housing in that area, all of it. And for years, it took 2 or 3 years, meetings that the city had, because they had a developer that wanted to develop some of the areas of Swan Avenue and the crossroad of it. And we finally came to an agreement. You know what the agreement was? A, that we would protect the residents, and B, that the cottages on the west end by the interstate would always remain there without any commercialization of those old cottages that are there. And that's still there. And we're talking 50 years ago. So what I'm wrestling with in myself is one hand and the other hand looking at the balance. And the crux of this application, in my mind, is there any others that have what you're asking for? And did my promise to, and I'm not using it as a reason, promises are made to be broken. That's what, I never forget the movie On the Waterfront when Jane Russell told, you know, I made a commitment, and Jim Rowland told her, commitments are made to be broken. It was in a conversation about love. But that has nothing to do with this thing here. But what I'm saying is, if there was at least one other that went past 11 o'clock, I would have closed my eyes without no problem and vote yes. But there aren't. There is a hotel, granted, but the hotels are different. Hotel, more likely, the whole thing is alcohol zone because you can go to your room and drink, and now you couldn't even drink in your own room. So I have a little experience in restaurants, not much, but I can tell you that they're hard to run, difficult to run, and you got to keep up with the trends. And in this trend, if I was to vote for this and pass, what do you think the other restaurants are going to do? Stay at 11 o'clock? Do we believe that? I don't think so. So therefore, if I had a decision to make today, I would vote no based on what my promises were to protect. Not that it means that I'm doing it for that reason, but I remember that far back. I can even tell you the name of the lady. You can check it all, Mildred Ditmas. And at that time, Hyde Park was no better than any neighborhood in Tampa. Hyde Park now is one of the best places to live in the city. Everything has been restored. At that time, they were just rotted out houses, let's face it. Most of them, not all of them. So that's what's going on in my mind, and I'm just expressing how I feel.
Councilmember Carlson, Councilmember Clendenin.
Yeah, I'll just, since everybody else made comments, I'll just make mine now. The developer, Mr. Brock, is has one of the best reputations of developers and restaurant owners in the area. Ciro's, when it opened, changed the landscape of the bar scene with the quality of what they did. Armature Works changed Tampa's culture. What I hear about Row is that it fantastic concept. This other concept that I was not on the inside, so I didn't know about until tonight. Sounds like a fantastic concept. Ms. Yang is one of the best, if not one of the best, alcohol attorneys in town. I don't like turning things down, but I might be the only one that would vote against it, but I would vote against it for several reasons, and we can provide evidence if we make a motion. But number one is that it is a neighborhood, and we have a lot of issues with alcohol in the middle of neighborhoods. And right now, on a Wednesday night, I think they have to shut at 11, but they're putting reservations at 12:30. So who knows what will happen. But we have to be sensitive to neighbors. And one thing we haven't talked about is not directly above, but adjacent, their neighbors upstairs too. When there's kids doing yoga in the morning on Saturdays, I get complaints about sound. And so I'm certain we're gonna get all kinds of stuff. And this use hasn't been in that part of the buildings before. But we have to be sensitive to neighborhoods. It's not just that it's Hyde Park, we have to be sensitive to all neighborhoods. Florida Avenue and parts of it has a chance to turn into Howard Avenue. Howard Avenue, I watched John Agri and others go in, and John Agri had a great concept. He was building all these restaurants. Well, now his great restaurants turn into bars that are out all night long. And the neighbors hate them, and there's all kinds of issues, and we're trying everything we can to undo that. The last thing we need is to create an entertainment district in the middle of Hyde Park, and that's not what this is yet, but that's not what John Agri proposed either, and within 10 years or so, it's completely changed. Ybor City is changing the other way. The other thing is it's just not consistent with the other restaurants or bars or anything around it. We saw the evidence of the restaurant, which allowing reservations late, which I have a lot of questions and concerns about. The biggest thing, though, that we have to talk about, and the reason why I said everything in the beginning, this could end up being the best or the top bar in Tampa, and maybe it is. All the high-end folks will go there, but we have to understand that this goes with the land, and we can't guarantee that what happened on Howard Avenue isn't going to happen. John Agri opens a restaurant that everybody loved, and then it's a late-night party place because somebody else takes it over. We don't know. We can't guarantee what's going to happen in the future, and we have to try to protect the neighborhoods and others, adjacent property owners against possible future owners. Also, we're taking into account that there's a great operator of the Hyde Park Village right now, It hasn't always been that way, that there was an enlightened operator that was spending money in the right way. And so we have to think of all this. I would like the developer to go back and meet with the neighborhood and see if the neighborhoods can come up with something, but I'm not in favor of continuance. I don't know what the penalty is for getting turned down, but we offered several times for a continuance and nobody took us up on it. And so I would just say, I would, if we close, I would make a motion to reject it, and then they can work with the neighborhood to see if they can work something out.
But I heard the attorney say that they would be open to a continuance. Is that correct?
For several times before that, that's my concern.
When did that happen?
If Vieira brought it up, it'd be like 10 minutes before.
He used Orlando Cruz as the example. And used the blah, blah, blah.
I'm hearing all the comments, and I'm really taking it all. I know I've been scribbling notes furiously. Councilmember Hurtak, I am going to investigate why there was a 12:30 reservation. I really don't know, but I will investigate that with the business operators and make sure that the software reservation system is tracking what the current hours are. I appreciate hearing all of the comments. I think one of the reasons we have these public hearings is to get input from the public. And it sounds like this one needs some work. And I am asking then for a continuance, if council will allow me to go back with the business owners, meet with the neighborhoods again. I would like to ask for council's permission to bring this back in January.
Wait, is there an alcoholic beverage meeting in January? Because I see land rezoning only. I see a February.
Well, we're not there quite yet, council. I have something else that I'd like to bring up. And that is a new rule that council put in place that really hasn't been invoked. And it came to my mind as we're discussing this, and I went back and took a look, and it's Rule 6J, which reads in part, no request for a continuance by the applicant petitioner shall be granted at a quasi-judicial public hearing after the applicant petitioner has completed its initial presentation, unless upon determination by city council that it is necessary for purposes of procedural due process.
Councilmember Vieira.
Thank you. And one issue, and I did write this down, with regards to due process, and it seems to be an issue on the mind of council members, and it is an issue of, a relevant issue is the scheduling, and if you're accepting, appointments after the no alcohol, et cetera, you have to verify that, and obviously as an officer of the court, you're gonna be 100% honest with us, et cetera, but that would be an issue that's been brought up as something that's relevant, that I think would pass muster under that, potentially, I would say.
And with that being council's determination, then you can move forward.
If they would.
Yeah,
Councilmember Clendenin, you have.
Yeah, and that's actually addresses part of my concern, because, I know it was presented, we had those copies, but as far as we're talking about in this quasi-judicial hearing of how we weight that evidence, I think I would need more substantial information to be able to give it the weight that it would maybe deserve, or weight maybe that you're weighing in on that. Also, staff also testified that even if, in fact, they were found to be in non-compliance, they would be given an opportunity to come into compliance. And so again, the two bites at the apple on that. So I think when we weigh that out, I think that it seems to me that we could come up with a win-win here by granting a continuance. They work with the neighborhood, and come up with a resolution that is amicable to all. Obviously, I don't think anybody on this dais or anybody in Tampa would say that Three Oaks hospitality is not really an important element to the growth of the city of Tampa, and the type of hospitality businesses that they're opening in Tampa are really contributing to the fabric, and as we grow into this really cosmopolitan type of city. This is obviously, and I know Charlie's not gonna be there drinking $1,000 drinks. But it's really something, it's something probably obviously special. It's outside of probably most of our experiences. So I'm willing to put a pin in this and see what they can bring and come forward. I'd be respectful to the neighborhood. I'm in the neighborhood too. I live right down the street. I'm willing to put a pin in this and have it come back to us in February.
Councilmember Hurtak, Councilmember Pearl.
So the reason we put this rule in effect was because of this. We would do 1 to 2 hours we would have community come, and then when the petitioner realized, oh, this isn't going my way, they would continue it. So this is why we put the rule in place. This is before you all joined, and I'm frustrated because Councilman Vieira recommended that you take the continuance, and instead you went on with your presentation, and now hearing that that council has concerns, and hearing from the community that you already heard from, who asked you to take a continuance so you could go further, now you want a continuance, and I'm just not okay with that, because now we again have wasted an hour of time, and you're gonna have to come back and present this all over again, when he gave you an out initially that you chose not to take. So I am not going to support a continuance. I'm just simply not going to do it. Because we are going to get in the same problem. And then they're going to want to be heard in January, which we don't even have an alcohol hearing. So you're going to February at earliest. And again, the reason we put this rule into place is so that we wouldn't have these continuances where we heard the same case multiple times.
Councilmember Carlson.
Yeah, can I just ask legal or staff, okay, so if we continued, let's say it would go in February, if we said no, when's the soonest they would go? Is there a penalty for, I don't remember on alcohol issues, is it 6 months, just like the other land use, or is it different?
Yes, LaShawn, Doc Development Coordination. It is not the 6-month time frame, but the next alcohol hearing is February 22nd.
No, I mean, if we voted no, what would happen? When's the first they could come back if we
Oh,
voted
to
no?
come back, then there's no limit. It should be a different request that comes back, but the alcohol
So
is different.
if they had to refile, how long would that process take before, could they still come back in February? or-
Probably about 4 months.
So it
before
would
they
be,
come
it would
back.
be March or April instead of February, so we're talking about a difference of a couple months. Right? Is that, Ms. Johnson Velez, do you agree? Yes? You
So
both
the
agree?
timing you're looking at, if they reapply, would be about 4 months. They would reapply, have another DRC meeting, and then come back.
So just for the
submit
public,
final
if
plans.
we grant the continuance, the only difference is whether you have to come back in February versus April. But also, Marty, the reason why we created this rule is so that, just for what my colleague just said, that we wouldn't have to hear entire cases over and over again because it takes so long. If we made a continuance, what could we say that would not create a precedent that other people would breach this and make us go through all this?
I don't know the answer to that question. This is the first time, actually, I think, as I can recall, that we've invoked, or this situation has come up to the point where I had to go back to the rules to refresh my recollection that there was a rule that applied to this.
I think it's the first time it's come up.
I think it's the first time it's come up.
Most alcohol issues are not controversial like the land use ones.
Well, who would like to make a motion to continue this?
Speak to that, if I may. With regards to answer Councilman Carlson's question, which is very legitimate, and I'm very sympathetic to the points made, I do think that the issue of the closing time, which appears to be relevant on the mind of some council members and the need to authenticate that, I do think pulls into relevancy that rule and makes it pass muster in theory. And again, my whole thing is, given the potential for more talking, more discussion, given the need to address the issue of whether they're abiding presently by the law, et cetera, I do think it's something that there is a reasonable basis for. I don't know how I'm going to vote as I sit here. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be honest. But I think giving it more time is reasonable, and I do think the rule is implicated because of what I said. Just barely, but it is.
Is that a motion?
Sure.
Motion to continue till when? February 22nd?
Yes, sir.
We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira to continue to February 22nd, 5:01 p.m., 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Not 501. I think they should be heard last. Because, I mean, seriously, you can't expect to.
Well, the meeting starts at 5:01. Where they go on the agenda, I didn't say it would be heard first, so it's what the agenda says. Anyways, we have a second to that motion. Yes?
Yeah, I just want to say, I feel the same way Councilmember Hurtak does. The thing is that, because it's only a couple months difference, and they're gonna be able to come back anyway, we may as well have a continuance, but, I wanna make it clear that I would not do this on a land use case. This is an exception, the first alcohol case that I remember happening where this happened. And I don't know what other things we can do to prevent a precedent, but I wanna make sure this doesn't happen regularly. The other thing is, I think there are two main issues that have been discussed. One is the hours and the particular days, whether it could be holidays or every week. But the other thing is the spatial part of the restaurant. My goal would be to make sure that some future owner can't turn this into a nightclub. So if you take, out of whatever square feet it is, if you take 500 square feet, nobody's gonna turn that into a huge nightclub in the future. And so I would just ask if we grant the continuance, that you all meet with the neighborhood and talk about all the different factors so that you can come back. It sounds like, listening to the owner, it sounds like there might be some room for negotiation, so hopefully that will work. Thank you.
Yes.
And I just want to say that on the land use side, for our regular land use meetings, folks have gotten the understanding that if you don't meet with neighborhoods and don't come up with an agreement, it's not going to go well. And I think maybe now the alcohol permit folks are going to start to understand that too. If a neighborhood asks you to meet and to have a continuance to work things out, it is in your best interest to do so.
Council, Mr. Sheldon.
And just a reminder, council, that according to your rules, this is a land use matter. It's not a rezoning, but it is a special use. It is a quasi-judicial matter. And frankly, council, one of the reasons this rule was put into place was specifically because alcoholic beverage special use is sometimes the most contentious.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and we have a second. Roll call vote. The motion was from Councilmember Vieira, second from Councilmember Clendenin to continue. Roll call vote.
Carlson?
Yes.
Hurtak?
No.
Clendenin?
Yes.
Henderson?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Miranda?
No.
Maniscalco?
Yes.
Motion to continue carries
I'll be right back.
to February 22nd, 2024 at 5:01 PM. Located at,
At what, 3:15? Yeah, well, you want to say who voted no?
I'm going to see it.
Okay.
Located at 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida 33602.
And who
And can you
voted?
announce the vote, the 5-2
Yes.
vote?
Hurtak, no. Miranda, no.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank you,
night.
council members.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 4, file number AB 22325.
Thank you, Council. LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. Item number 4 is AB 22325. This is for the property located at 723 West Columbus Drive. The applicant is represented by Terry Haley. This is a request for alcoholic beverage sales for a small venue, beer and wine consumption on premises, and package sales consumption off premises. The request would allow for alcohol sales within 2,388 square feet of indoor space and 1,061 square feet of outdoor space. The requested use requires 35 parking spaces and 27 spaces are provided. You'll see the waiver that's listed within the staff report. And the hours of operation are listed as a closing time of 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday, a closing time of 9 p.m. And I'll show you the site plan on the site. So this is at the corner of Columbus and Boulevard. I'm just gonna zoom in on it. This is the northwest corner. So just for orientation, this is North Boulevard. This is Columbus. So currently on the site itself, there's a convenience store with the gas station, and that convenience store has the ability to sell alcohol. They have an alcoholic beverage sales permit. The request is in this area identified in pink. So this is the suite, and the entry door is located here on Columbus, and I'll show you in a couple of pictures. So this is why under current alcohol sales, it's not listed, because although there's alcohol sales within the site, it's for the convenience store, and that would remain. So this is the aerial map of the property.
Can you zoom out a little bit?
Okay, yes, because I don't see it on, I'm sorry. Let's see. So this is the site that's located here in red. This is North Boulevard, this is Columbus, this is Monroe. So this is the site that's here, and then what I try to do is just put a little star where it is located there on that side of the building. And then I have pictures of the site. So this is the view if you're on Columbus. This is the site. So it is this suite that's located here. And then the convenience store and the gas station are off to the right in this picture. This is a view if you're looking, let me zoom out a little more. If you're looking on Columbus. East, thank you. Thank you. This is the site that's located here on the picture. This is another view of the site. This is the west end of the site, so this is the entry to the site here for parking. This is another view of the parking to show the entry to the site. This is that convenience store, the gas station, and that fronts Boulevard. This is southeast of the site. And then this is the view looking north on Boulevard. The DRC staff reviewed the request and finds the request inconsistent, and that is due to the waivers requested. There are minor modifications to be made to the site plan between first and second reading. And that concludes staff's presentation. I'm available if you have questions. Yes.
Ms. Doc, I had stepped out and I was listening to it in the back, but can you
Yes.
show me, do you have a photo of the location that is requesting this? Was it the one on
Yes.
Columbus on the side of the gas station?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It is,
Okay.
this is the building, and then the gas station is over here on the right side.
Yep.
And this is the location. This is the suite.
Heights Lounge, okay, so it's asking for off-premises package sales and
And
drinking
consumption
also.
on premise for beer and wine as a small venue classification. The small venue is,
And where is their parking?
it is on the side. I have
Okay,
a
so- okay.
picture here. I can show you, yes.
Yeah,
This
'cause I'm
is-
familiar with the gas station front side and,
So this is one, you can see the driveway entrance that is
Okay.
here, but there's another side also. I have a picture of the other point of entry here.
okay, thank you very much,
On the
that's,
side. You're
that's
welcome.
good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there was a Columbus Drive, accessibility point. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Good evening, Chair and Council. My name is Terry Haley. I'm at 108 Clock Tower Drive, number 157 in Brandon, 33510. I know it's been a long day for everybody, don't get alarmed. I'm a big fish, but my whole deal here is a small fish in a small pond, okay? I represent the owners of the Heights Lounge. First of all, the name might deceive you a little bit in the fact lounge, but what we mean is sit around, relax, and have a good time with some friends. And the way we put this is I feel, and my owners feel, that history repeats itself. And as the neighborhoods change and we have some rebuilding and regrouping in that area as well as, all around Tampa Bay, we're going back to the grassroots. What the Heights Lounge is a neighborhood gathering place. And its clientele is made up of the neighborhood primarily. And in this case, you're gonna get some people, say students from UT. And then it's not really a destination site. The destination would be, say, someone coming from New Tampa to visit their friend living down the street, and then they might walk down there.
but that new, it's not a type business where the North Tampa resident's gonna come, okay? So, what I'm getting at with this is the parking issue, okay? Many of the guests coming are gonna do just that, they're gonna walk. And then mostly the younger generation, not necessarily myself, but many are gonna take advantage of the new mass transit, the scooters, the bicycles, stuff like that, and the bus lines. So with that, it's gonna cut down on the number of cars needed. Plus, with new, I shouldn't say new, it's been around now, but with ride sharing, it's also an economic thing to hop in there. You know, it saves you money and it's much safer. But people carpool these days a lot more in this sense. Also, they might play with a designated driver, but with all these elements added up, they add up, but yet your needs for parking dwindle down, okay? Now, as far as impact on the neighborhood or anything like that, their hours are very limited. They are gonna open around noon time in the afternoon, but primarily what they are, they offer no food. They have been open since June already, of course with no alcohol, but they've been licensed by the health department because they sell no food. They are a coffee, tea house, and then they're gonna offer some beers, primarily some craft beers, but not a big selection. You have, oh, and by the way, backing up, not necessarily the same corporation, but the same owners are involved in the convenience store, in the Heights Lounge, and on the other end, it was never mentioned, there's a smoke shop, which is an in-and-out situation. But all of that in defense, and then going back in time a little bit, prior to the Heights Lounge in there, it was a martial arts studio or school, okay? So you had a lot of in and out traffic, you know, say a lot of kids, adults do it as well. But one thing that it kind of fell into, it's not marked, and we could certainly do this, but make it, you know, like a one-way circle in and out, like come in off of Columbus, exit onto, I think it's Monroe Street, I should know that, but I don't, but on the west side. But with all of these factors and some other projects I've done, I don't know if this is good to bring up, but I also did a craft brewery on Highway 60 there, the Bastet Brewery, and at the time there, we were short, I think it was 5 parking spaces, and it has not proved to be an issue. And like I say, our guys have been open at the Heights since June, offering everything but the alcohol. They don't want a big selection. I mean, they're gonna buy a case of this, a case of that, they run out, they try something new. He doesn't want to steal his business from his own convenience store, you know? And then at the same time, like I say, you leave the bars to the bars, you leave the breweries to the tasting rooms, and this is just that. You might see people, you're gonna see them talking, you're gonna see them watching an event on TV, some sports. They don't have a ton of TVs, might be playing board games, but I think it's just a gathering place made up of all those different factors, but the main factors, the neighborhood, the students, and just the newer generation carpooling and stuff. I think it cuts down on the need for the number of parking.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I don't know if you
Any questions for the
need
gentleman?
anything else or any other.
That was very good. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have anybody? Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on this item, item number 4?
Motion closed.
Do we have anybody registered on this one? It's number 6, correct? Okay. All right, we have a motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Henderson. All in favor? Aye. Councilmember Miranda, would you mind reading this? I'm sorry, 4, number 4.
Thank you, Chairman. File number 4, AB 2/23/25. Ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. An ordinance approving a special use permit SU2 for alcohol beverage sales, small venue consumption on premise, and package sales off premise consumption, and making lawful the sale of beer or wine and wine at or that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 723 West Columbus Drive, Tampa, Florida, more particularly described in section 2, providing that our ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda. Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Clendenin. Let's have a roll call vote.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Vieira. Okay. Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried with Vieira being absent at vote. Second reading and adoption will be held on December 21st, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. located at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thanks. All right, item number 5. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and Council. LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. Item 5 is AB 22326. This is for the property located at 1226 East 7th Avenue. This is a request for alcoholic beverage sales with a small venue classification with beer, wine, and liquor, consumption on premise only. This request would allow for sales at 3,060 square feet of indoor space and 1,546 square feet of outdoor space. This site is located within Ybor City. There's no required parking with the use requested, and the AB sales hours are consistent with Chapter 14. This location also is currently, is currently approved for alcohol sales. It is indoor space only right now with a straight 4-cop, but this request would allow that expansion of the AB sales area into the outdoor space, and I can show you a picture of that area here momentarily. So this is the site plan. This is the site located on 7th Avenue that is here. So the site is outlined in this bold line. This would be the indoor area within the structure, and this is outdoor area that's located here. And I'll show you that photo. And this is the aerial of the site. So this is the site here that's outlined in red. This is 7th Avenue. This is 13th Street. Just to orient you, this is Nucio Parkway. So this is the location that is here. And then I have a couple of photos of the site itself. So this is the front of the establishment. That's looking north at the site. So the outdoor area is here on the side. This is the side view. That's the area.
Can I ask Marty a question real fast? My other job office is 2 blocks away. I don't own the property, but is that a conflict that my other office is nearby?
You have a lease, you don't own the building, and you didn't receive notice. You don't have any, so you have no financial stake in the outcome of this that might affect your business. And you can be fair and impartial. My obligation, my opinion is that you have the obligation to
All right, thank you.
And if I may, that's why I was talking to Mr. Shelby about this. With regards to Martí Maceo, and I see some of the good folks there with him, just to disclose to the public, in the past I have sought to get them money in the budget. I have helped them with surrounding issues with construction and a lot of different things. In my role as a Tampa City Councilman, in my role with the Tampa Hispanic Bar Association, I did an event in 2017 or 18 for them with Ms. Sylvia Rodriguez and other folks. And I can be fair and impartial, I can, but I just want to disclose that because I have done a lot of work with these folks in the past and will probably still do more work with them in the future, hopefully, in getting them support, but that has no bearing whatsoever on this application. I can be fair and impartial. I can be, but I do want to disclose that.
Thank you, and you'll make your decisions based on the competent substantial evidence in the record.
Only in the record.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Nope. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and this is a view if you're looking west on 7th Avenue. This is across the street. This is south of the site. And then this is at the corner. This is showing the site is located here, just behind. So there is one waiver requested, and that is the distance separation from other AB sales establishments. And other than that, the DRC staff reviewed the request, found the request inconsistent due to the waiver requested, and site plan changes are required to be made between first and second reading. I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions? Nope.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go.
So the surrounding properties, that's residential, that new construction on the corner?
Yes.
Yes.
And then behind it, the open courtyard, which they're requesting to be zoned wet, the other picture, I saw windows that looked like that was residential as well.
Correct.
And that property to the right, what's in there? The white building?
I don't know if that is residence or.
It's all
offices.
It's an office,
That's residential property behind there, okay.
but behind.
Yes, sir.
Where's the other, the closest AB establishment? The
It
cigar
is
place?
It's
Oh,
actually the
hotel.
Hampton Inn and Suites.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they had anything in there.
It's measured from the AB sales out boundary to the property line
All right.
of the establishment.
Thank you very much. All
Thank
right.
you.
Ms. Johnson Velez, are you coming up? No. Oh, okay. Applicant?
Mr. Chair, council members, good evening again. Grace Yang, Gray Robinson Law Firm, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, 40th floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602. It is my honor and privilege tonight to be representing Sociedad La Unión Martí Maceo, a cultural and social club in Ybor City. With me in the audience are Club President Sharon Gomez, Vice President Olga Gomez Daniels, and club members Robert Puerto and Alex Pahil. The inside of the club building is already alcohol zoned and approved. It has a liquor license. What is before you tonight is a request to allow alcohol consumption on the east side of the building in that outdoor patio area, an area of 1,546 square feet. When the weather is nice, I think we've all kind of valued, certainly during the pandemic, the nice ability to be able to eat and drink outside in the fresh air. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yes, Councilmember Carlson, then Linda.
Yeah, we're probably gonna all say the same thing, but typically when people are asking for outdoor license, we ask about amplified sound. So in the picture we just saw, there are apartments or condos going up behind it. What are the hours of operation that are being proposed, and is it possible to restrict amplified sound after 10 o'clock or outdoor amplified sound, sorry?
The area outside, if you will allow me a minute, let me consult with the club leadership on this. I'm not aware if they are planning any outdoor amplified sound past 10 p.m. at night on a weekday or a weekend.
The same thing as we talked about before, because it goes with the land, should they decide that they want to buy a bigger building or somewhere else or whatever, it could go to someone else. So it's not just a question about them, and it's about what could happen in the property in the future.
Okay.
Councilman Quindana.
Yeah, it was in line with what I was gonna ask of that, because one, it goes with the land, two, amplified sound, residential, and this would be a big extension of what, I guess, the party zone, for Ybor City and 7th Avenue, extending towards the new Gasworks project and all. So I'm a little apprehensive without some hour restriction on amplified sound and what that outdoor activated space would look like and the impact they would have on residential development in that area of Ybor City.
Yeah.
I appreciate the quick huddle with the club president. In consultation with the club president, no amplified, we can put a note in the conditions of no amplified sound past 11 p.m., if that is acceptable to council. It is in Ybor City.
I don't know. I'm good, fine. All right, that's good.
As we saw, as we saw, there are residences all around.
Yeah.
And so, and as we have seen in the news, Ybor is changing, so we just want to be sensitive.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess my question then is for staff. Is that on the site plan? And what are the hours of operation that are on the site plan?
Yes, LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. Currently, the outdoor amplified sound is not on the site plan, so that would need to be added between first and second reading. And the hours are consistent with Chapter 14. 3 a.m. is a closing time.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 5? Yes.
So 3 a.m., so that 3 a.m. would be the outdoor patio space without amplified sound too, so they could still be out there drinking and hooting and hollering at 3 a.m.?
Correct, LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination, unless council asks for a condition or a closing time on the outdoor area or a time that
I
it would
think
not
because of the
occur.
encroachment on the residential area, we'd have to do that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, yes?
The other thing is, it's not just who might own the property in the future, but I know that, because I've been to events, they rent the space out too, and so we just need to be mindful. I know they're all great people, but if somebody rents it and has loud parties, we need to try to govern that. What are you proposing on?
I think it really, honestly, space should be deactivated. I think the space should be deactivated. I mean, it is Ybor City, so I think that, I mean, I initially was thinking that 10 o'clock as you were, but I think that 11 o'clock is probably a reasonable compromise. Because it is Ybor City, people move to Ybor City, they have expectations and they know that's what it is, but I think 11 o'clock for deactivating that space is reasonable.
Well, it's 11 o'clock for no amplified sound and no alcohol sales. They could still go out there, right? But we can't restrict people from going outside. We can just restrict the alcohol sales and the amplified sound, correct?
Correct. And the applicant would have to agree, of course, but.
Yes.
Maybe I'm in the minority here, but this is Ybor, and we're already allowing 3 a.m. So I don't have a problem with 1 a.m. because we're in Ybor. And no offense, but if you're gonna buy or rent an apartment that isn't even built yet, you have an expectation of what you're moving into. So I actually don't have a problem with the 1 a.m. The 3 a.m. I will agree, okay, a little much, but I think the 1 a.m. in Ybor is perfectly reasonable, especially considering what is coming and how that corridor, right now, 7th Avenue ends at Nuccio. But I believe that will move forward and toward what is happening on Nebraska. So I personally am fine with 1 a.m.
I don't know, we just had a lot of discussion about Hyde Park and 1 a.m. in an area of a building that's fully contained within inside of a building.
There's a vast difference.
But I mean, fully contained inside, in the interior part of a building.
Except it was an established neighborhood that this came into. These apartments and condos next door have not even been finished. If you move into those spaces, you should know what to expect. You are moving to Ybor.
I'll be honest with you, I feel almost inconsistent with my own values because I'm all for the
But
party.
it is different, and that is exactly why they come in front of us.
Yeah.
Because one is an established neighborhood wose houses are over 100 years old.
Right.
And here, we're
Don't look
looking
me
at.
when you say that.
She would have been 101.
But the new apartments and new condos, I'm assuming it's a condo, maybe they're both apartments, but again, you are moving to Ybor with an expectation. It's just like the people who tried to move to Ybor and then take out the chickens.
But I mean, literally the bar zone doesn't extend this in this section of Ybor, or does it?
But it will.
But it
That's
doesn't.
my
But
thing.
it doesn't.
But it does, because you can go to the taco place, I always get it wrong. And we just approved a wet zoning for them till 1 a.m. Not too, y'all, I don't think we're on council yet.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But we did.
before
So
my time.
they have 1 a.m.
Okay.
Councilman
Okay.
Beer, Councilman Carls.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, and I'll agree with, I'm glad Councilwoman Hurtak brought that up because, I don't know if this is relevant, Martín Maceo was there first, you know what I mean? And all these things were built around them and they were there first. And, you know, we would be doing the reverse. In the Hyde Park situation, you have allegedly a business coming in trying to change through zoning the neighborhood. Here you have apartments, you know, a zoning that's trying to be more consistent with what the neighborhood has been forever, and then apartments and other buildings that are trying to change the institution that's been in that building for 60 years, I think. So, yeah, I mean, so again, well taken, but I'm fine with what was requested personally.
Yes.
Two things. One is, because of what happened in Ybor a month ago, you know, we had a line of people that said, don't close at 1 a.m., but probably like you all, I've gotten chewed out probably 20 times by people who think we should. And I disagree with that, but it's obvious that Ybor is not going to be, I've been saying this for years, Ybor is not going to be the kind of party district it was. It was a community that had entertainment, and then it was kind of artificially turned into a Bourbon Street, and now it's converting back. But I would be okay if we said 1 a.m. on Friday, Saturday, and holidays, and then 11 a.m. on weekdays. 11 p.m. on weekdays, sorry.
Thursday, because this we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, so 1 a.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Are you all okay with that?
Well, are you
We have to-
I'm sorry, may I ask what you're referring to when you say those hours? Site plan modifications to what and how?
There are two different things. The outdoor, are we okay at outdoor amplified sound 11 even on weekends, or you want outdoor amplified sound till 11, till 1? So outdoor amplified sound until 11 every day, but alcohol till 11 except on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and holidays. Is that too complicated?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
And council, ultimately, you have to base it under the adverse impacts and weigh the adverse impacts and have, of course, have the petitioner or the agent agree to it. Otherwise, you don't want it to be considered an exaction after you approve it.
So I will ask, is the petitioner okay with sound until 11 p.m. Sunday through, 7 days a week? And then
Yes.
1 a.m. Stopping alcohol sales outside 7 days a week?
Stopping alcohol, okay. so
Outside.
Outside.
Outside
Stopping
at
alcohol
1 a.m.
Outside until 1 a.m., 7 days a week.
7 days a week. 1 a.m., 7
1
days a
a.m.
week.
For the outside.
Outside, yeah.
That's fair.
I see a nod, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So, for the outside, these are restrictions for
These
the
are
outside
Yes, these
patio
are
area.
restrictions for the outside. The indoor stays with what they would normally do, correct, Ms. Doc?
Inside.
Correct, LaShawn, Doc Development Coordination. I just want to make sure that the applicant is aware they are requesting consumption on premise only. When they limit themselves or they put this time on the outdoor area, that is consumption also. So it's not just the sales, it's the consumption. After that time, they cannot have consumption. It's not the sell, just the sell.
Right, so it's 1 a.m. for the outside.
Yes, so from what I
No
understand,
consumption after 1 a.m.
daily at 1 a.m., no AB sales or consumption in the outdoor area. There's no outdoor amplified sound after 11 p.m.,
Yep.
7 days a week.
Yep, perfect,
Those are the two notes, okay.
perfect.
Thank you.
Those are the restrictions for the outdoor area.
Anybody in the public wish to speak on this? We're good? Can I get a motion to close? Motion closed from Councilmember Miranda, second from?
If I may, just really quick, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much. To Ms. Yang and your clients, just want to make sure y'all are good with that. Everything's good, amenable.
Yeah.
You understand?
For the outside, so for the outside area, no amplified sound in the outside area after 11 p.m. Okay, 7 days a week. And then no alcohol consumption in the outside area after 1 a.m. in the outside area, 7 days a week.
La música hasta las 11 y afuera tranca la 1, no se puede ni tomar.
But the indoor space can remain as.
Okay.
And that'll be site plan modifications, right?
Thank you, Mr.
First
Chair.
and second reading.
Yeah.
We have a motion to close from Councilmember Miranda. Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Henderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Councilmember Vieira, would you like to read item
Sure,
number 5?
I will. Thank you, sir. Let me get that. Move an ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, ordinance approving a special use permit SU2 for alcoholic beverage sales, small venue consumption on premises only, making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcoholic content, beer, wine, and liquor at or from that certain plot or tract of land located at 1226 East 7th Avenue, as more particularly described in Section 3, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, repealing ordinances number 2006-8, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira, and you have to include those.
Yeah, include the site plan.
11
Tonight,
o'clock,
yes,
outdoor
yeah,
music, and 1 PM outdoor sales and consumption.
Yeah, I agree. I include the conditions that were agreed to by the applicant. Thank you.
We have a second from Councilmember Hurtak. Roll call vote.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on December 21st, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. located at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, council.
Next is item number 6.
Thank you, Council. LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. Item 6 is AB 2-2328. It's for the property at 6231 South Dome Mabry Highway. The applicant is represented by Amanda Holsin, and this request is for alcoholic beverage sales for small venue classification with beer and wine, consumption on premise, and package sales consumption off premise. This request would contain an AB sales area of 38,822 square feet of indoor area and 1,587 square feet of outdoor area. This site is a hotel site. This is the Sleep Inn located on South Dome Mabry, just miles before the base, the gate for MacDill Air Force Base. But in order to have a hotel classification for alcoholic beverage sales, the hotel must contain at least 100 rooms. This one contains 75 rooms, so it is coming in as a small venue classification because of that. Otherwise, it would request a hotel classification. So this is the site plan, which is before you. So this is Del Mabry Highway. This is Elmwood, that's to the north. This is the hotel outline that's here. So this is the indoor area, which includes each floor within the hotel, and then this is the outdoor area, which has the pool surrounding it. And you can see access to the site is either, you can have an in only from South Dome Mabry, and then you can exit both ways on Elmwood. So this is an aerial of the site. This is the site outlined in red. This is Elmwood, that's to the north, and then this is South Dome Mabry, that's bordering it on the east. And I have a few pictures of the site. If I can get them unstuck. So this is the hotel. That's the view. This is the east side of the site. That's another view of the hotel, the entry facing Del Mabry. This is the outdoor area. This is the pool. And this is the entry to the site, which is on Elmwood. That entry, and then this is across Del Mabry, the residential multifamily. DRC staff reviewed the request, finds the request inconsistent, and that is due to the waivers requested. There are 2 waivers that are requested, and one is from residential uses, and then the other is the parking reduction on site. And there are site plan changes to be made between first and second reading, and that concludes staff's presentation. I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions?
This kind of harkens back to our previous discussion. You said it doesn't come as a hotel because of what reason?
It doesn't meet the room number.
Yes, so for a hotel alcoholic beverage sales designation, the hotel must contain at least 100 rooms.
So the Paley House then, that's only got 36 rooms, so that would not have been as a hotel designation then?
So if they had come in and under current code and requested alcohol sales, they would be a small venue.
So it's a small venue, not a hotel.
Yeah, so this one is a small venue.
And that's, the Paley House must have been a small venue too as well, because it's only 36
Correct.
rooms.
And the difference between the small and large venue is the occupancy. So if you have 299 occupants or less, it's a small venue. 300 or more is a large venue.
Gotcha, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Anything else? All right.
Thank
Do
you.
we have an applicant? She's online? Yes. Can you swear her in? Yes. Please raise your right hand and we'll swear you in. Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
You're muted.
Please unmute yourself. We can't hear you. You're muted. Is she muted on our end or is she muted on her end?
On her end.
Ma'am, can you take off your mute?
Also check your volume of your microphone.
Thank you. Is everyone able to hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Hassine. I am with the law firm Rutledge Assenia PA, located at 119 South Monroe Street, Tallahassee, Florida, 32301. We are representing the subject property owner and applicant, Dale Mabry Hotel, LLC. The hotel is an established and operating hotel that is seeking special use approval to allow for the sale of beer and wine only under a 2COP alcohol license classification. I am happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for your time.
Any questions? No? Thank you very much. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 6?
Motion closed.
We have motion closed from
Second.
Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Remember when reading this, there's changes between first and second reading to include that.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Yes, Chair, I move file number. Thank you, no problem, I appreciate
Couldn't
it.
state your name. I'm kidding.
Gwen Henderson, District 5.
Small business owner.
Thank you.
I move file number AB 2-23-28, an ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. An ordinance approving a special use permit, SU2, for alcoholic beverages sales, small venue consumption on premises and packages sales off premises consumption, and making lawful the sale of beer and wine at or from that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 6231 South Dale Mabry Highway, Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in Section 2, providing that all ordinances or part of ordinances in conflict are repealed, providing for an effective date with the changes
between first and second reading.
between first and second reading.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Henderson, second from Councilmember Miranda. Roll call vote.
Henderson,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on December 21st, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. located at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you. Item number 7.
Thank you, Council. LaShawn, Doc Development Coordination. Item 7 is AB 2-2329. This is for the property located at 1625 East 7th Avenue. The applicant is represented by Chip Williams. This is a request for a bar lounge category with beer, wine, liquor, consumption on premise, and package sales consumption off premise. The AB sales area would be contained within 6,393 square feet of indoor area and 195 square feet of outdoor area. The sales hours are consistent with Chapter 14, and I have the site plan here to show. So this is the subject site. This is the property that's outlined here. This is 7th Avenue, and then this is North 17th Street. So this property is located at the corner. This is an aerial of the site. So this is the site that's identified here in red. This is 17th Street. This is East 7th Avenue. And then I have a couple of pictures of the site. This is, I have a view of the site from this side and at that angle, but it was hard. At the time of taking the pictures, this was blocked, 17th Street. But this is the location here. So this is the location on site. This is 17th Street. And that's another view, a close-up of the site itself. The DRC staff reviewed the request, finds the request inconsistent. It is due to a waiver requested. There's a waiver to reduce the distance to other AB sales establishments to 0 feet. And there are site plan changes to be made between first and second reading, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions? Nope.
Thank you,
All right.
Council.
Do we have an applicant for this item, 7? Yes, sir?
Good evening. My name is Chip Williams, 1611 East 6th Avenue, number 3, Tampa, Florida, 33605. For those of you who don't know me, I've lived in Ybor 20 years. I've worked in restaurants 20 years in Ybor, raising a 4 and 8-year-old child in Ybor City. So it's near and dear to my heart, obviously, representing Happy Pony, which is doing business as Southern Belle. It's a country bar and grill. And right now, they were not able to meet the minimum requirement for food sales at 51%. So we're forced to get a full 4 COP, which is why we're here. And that is, you know, the location is I'll just leave it at that. That is, that's it. I'm done.
All right. Anybody have any questions? Anybody in the public wish to speak on item number 7?
Motion to close.
We have a motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Councilmember Clendenin, would you mind reading item number 7? And remember to include the revisions between first and second reading.
Ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, and ordinance approving a special use permit, SU2, for alcoholic beverage sales, bar, lounge, consumption on-premise, and package sales, off-premise consumption, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcohol content, beer, wine, and liquor, at or from that certain plot, or tract of land located at 1625 East 7th Avenue, as more particularly described in Section 3, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict repealed, repealing ordinances number 2012-89, providing an effective date, including the revision sheets between first and second reading.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Clendenin with the motion, second from Councilwoman Hurtak. Roll call vote.
Vieira,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Henderson, Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried with Henderson being absent. Second reading and adoption will be held on December 21st, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. located at Old City Hall, 315 East Kinley Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida 33602.
Thank you very much. That concludes our agenda. Councilmember Miranda, do you have any?
None, sir.
Councilman Vieira?
I got 2 items, if I may. Number 1, I want to have in the first week of January of next year, if I may, Parks and Recreation report to us on having, that we have summer camps here in the city of Tampa, and having at least one that is dedicated to special needs kids. Obviously, the thing speaks for itself. Parents with children with intellectual disabilities have a very hard time finding a summer camp, and we can have a bit of a presence there to the extent that we don't. I think that would be great.
Yes. We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira, second from Councilmember
First week of
Miranda.
January.
January 11th.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Yes, sir. What else do you have?
And then second, if I may, State Representative Tracy Coster, who represents part of much of the Tampa Bay area, did legislation in Tallahassee that passed, I think, with like 7 individuals in the legislature voting against it to allow local governments to have speed cameras in school zones. The Hillsborough County Commission recently unanimously approve this, and I think it's something that given the fact that we are allowed to consider that we should consider. There's going to be about, I think it's 29 schools in Hillsborough County that now are going to be equipped with speed zone cameras, that if you go over the limit, you're going to get, I think it is a $100 ticket. They're giving people a 30-day warning for it. We can tinker with that, we can do whatever, but I think it's something that is common sense. Driving by school zones, you got to put the fear of God into people, and because God forbid. So I'm going to have a report back on just the process that we'd have to do this. And what I'll do is let's have it, if I may, in the third week of January. And if staff needs more time, I'm fine with that.
Let's see what that day is.
I have a quick question for
Yes,
you. Personally, I think $100 is way too low.
I agree.
Do we have the option to make that higher?
And I don't know. So I have to look at
that would be part of the thing that I want to ask about then.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
When they come forward to see what our
Put
options are.
teeth in there. Yes.
Well, I mean, it could be like 5 miles, could be $100, but if you're going 25 over, then you're then you should be paying some big bucks. I don't think it should be static.
So those are the issues that I want to inquire about because I don't know. So
I look forward to that on January 25th.
There you go.
That is that's good meeting.
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Second.
We have a second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
No,
opposed? Any
I oppose.
Councilmember
Was that for the
Clinton.
record? Yeah. Did you get that, Madam Clerk?
Your song was your rationale, right? Correct. There you go. I get it.
Yes. Anything, sir?
No.
Ma'am?
No.
Sir? Ms. Shelby?
No, sir.
Order received and filed.
So move motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Kurtak. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.